Hi, this is James, the comic book Shifu, and welcome to Read More Comics. The time of year between Thanksgiving and Christmas is exceedingly busy for me. It's not just friends and family, but it is also work. And so, finding time to go to my LCS and empty out my pull box is always a treat. That's what I happened to do last week. I went to my LCS of choice, buymetoys.com, in beautiful Mishawaka, Indiana. I had an opportunity to talk to the proprietors, Casey and Kelly, about comic books. We talked about series. We talked about publication, particular authors. And that's the wonderful thing about a great LCS. It's not just about purchasing and participating in this amazing hobby, but it's talking about the business, talking about stories that we all love with other people that also have that passion. And so I made this quick video to share with you my pulls, but also this past weekend, in the morning while I was drinking my coffee, I was able to work through some of my read pile. And so I have some reviews, I just want to share my insight to the comic books I read. If this is something you're interested in, please like, share, and subscribe right down below. And let's get to it. All right, so I do have a prodigious stack of comics that I picked up last week at Buy Me Toys, in addition to a reasonable number I got a chance to read over the weekend. If it is on my pull list, to be honest with you, it is because as either a collector or a reader, I want it in my PC, my personal collection. And I'd have to say, for all of these books, they kind of meet that need. It could be the creative team, it could be the character, it could be some nostalgia value. And that is why I've been pulling it. I have pre-ordered it through Previews World. Buy Me Toys participates in the Previews World program, so I'm able to go online and very easily indicate which books I want to add. If there's a series I want to cancel, I cancel that. Though, to be honest with you, at this point as a collector, I have found that canceling a book always leads me to kind of backtracking and completing the run, because there's that completionist in me that most collectors have. They have kind of that attitude or that desire, that obsession, if you want to call it that. So let's go ahead and get to it. The first book on the pile is actually a nostalgia purchase, though after issue number 1, I really found I enjoyed both the story, but also the art. This is issue number 2 of Dynamite's adaptation of Fire and Ice. If you've seen the movie, it's picking up, I want to say it's a prequel to the movie by Frank Frazetta, and I want to say Roy Thomas played a role in writing the script, but that could just be a shot in the dark. I don't recall. Anyway, the book so far is clearly going to dovetail with the movie. I want to say I saw that movie when I was in college, even though it came out when I was in high school. And it just definitely has that kind of that 1980s sword and sorcery vibe to it. The art in the book is kind of on par with what you would expect, considering Frank Frazetta played a role in the development of the movie itself. So anyway, this is issue number 2. It's been a fun read so far. Definitely recommend it. Fantastic Four issue number 14 is my next book. I've really been enjoying the current run and the creative team. They've been kind of taking it a different direction and having basically short little adventures over 1 or 2 issues with this overarching problem that's been going on since issue number 1. And on top of that, we have Alex Ross doing the cover work. So a lot of fun with that and the First Family. Next book I have is Shazam number 6. I've been pulling the Samney covers because I think it kind of captures the nostalgic, iconic look of early newsprint-ish-esque, if you want to call it, Shazam. Mark Waid is telling an awesome story. Dan Mora is on point with the art, creating an innocence, not just in Batson, but the rest of the Shazamily. So this is issue number 6. If you like Shazam, definitely worth your read. One thing I do like doing in specific times of year, there will be some sort of one shot connected to a season, connected to a holiday, or something else. And I like to not only support those moments, but also in this case, if it's a holiday issue, I am all on board for that, especially if it's not a book that I typically pull, but I still have kind of a thirst for. This one is the Hellboy one-shot. This is the winter special titled The Yule Cat. I'm a cat person and a dog person, so pretty excited to pick this up and add it to my PC. To be honest, I probably would enjoy reading more Hellboy. I just don't know where to start, and the way it's organized, kind of in compartmentalized different stories and arcs, different titles, it's a little intimidating as an outsider. So I've been sticking with the one shots. Here's another book I would definitely recommend. It started out as a book I picked up because my LCS got an exclusive cover, one of those Teams covers. This is Poison Ivy number 17. G. Willow Wilson and the artist, I don't recall the artist's first name, it's Vecchio right on the cover, has been knocking it out of the park with this. Been telling a very compelling story, making Poison Ivy the complicated character that she should be, not just a member of Batman's Rogues Gallery, but someone that is kind of like an anti-villain, you know, that she has a passion which overwhelms and leads to extreme actions when she's supporting what she thinks is right. They've had some amazing artists on the cover. I think this is the B cover, which DC's been doing in cardstock for as long as I can't say as long as I've been collecting, but a good 8 years or so. This is the Dotson cover, and I love Terry Dotson's work, so I ended up picking up this. A little behind in the reading. I don't think I've read any of Poison Ivy since the summer event, Night Terrors. So it's been a bit. I think I want to say I probably have like 5 books. Here we have Star Wars D Squad. This is issue number 4. I think this is the final issue of this. I've been pulling the action figure covers. I don't remember. Is this a Christopher cover or not? I'm not sure. I think it is. Anyway, typically I don't pull the action figure covers, but I thought it was kind of cool to pick them up for D Squad, and it kind of stuck out to me because it was only 4 issues, and then I didn't have to go back and hunt things down or try to complete a run with all the action figure covers. It's only 4 issues. It wasn't a big sell or a big push to get them. So this is D Squad, Star Wars Droids. It's been a fun read. The whole Dark Droids event has been very enjoyable, and I think for Charles Soule is probably some of his peak for Star Wars right now, which leads, ironically enough, into my next book. This is Star Wars issue number 41. This is Rob Reese, though he kind of reminded me of Alex Ross, which is originally why I picked it up. This is the variant cover. I thought it was an Alex Ross book. Anyway, or at least the cover was. You can see what I mean right there. Just the paints. It's really cool. So, anyway, moving on. We have a couple facsimiles. I've mentioned this in other videos. Facsimiles are a great way for me to get run fillers, especially with books that, honestly, I'll never be able to afford. Okay? And I really don't have the passion as a collector to pursue this higher end book. Now, I'm not sure if this first book would count. It's definitely a Golden Age book. This is Adventure Comics issue number 260, this is actually a Silver Age book. This is the Silver Age appearance, origin of Aquaman, which kind of dovetails with what we know about Aquaman and being adopted, and his mom was an Atlantean princess, etc., etc., etc. But what's interesting about Adventure Comics, I just kind of flipped through it. There are multiple other stories that aren't related to Aquaman. So I'm imagining that for the early Adventure Comics, that's how it was. I do enjoy Aquaman. I've been collecting Aquaman since the end of the New 52 with Dan Abnett. Big fan of Dan Abnett in his novels, especially his Warhammer 40K stuff. And so it was a natural kind of pivot to begin reading his work in comic books. In fact, until his work in Aquaman, and I know now he did like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that, had no idea that he had also done comic books. So I started with that, and that led to DC Rebirth. And then after the Aquaman movie and the appearance of the Trench, I went, okay, well, I need to go back because I've heard some really good things about the Jeff Johns run, especially the early stuff. And so I've been working on collecting the New 52 Aquaman book. And as there isn't currently any Aquaman series right now in print, this is the next best thing. So we got Adventure Comics issue number 260. The next one is also a facsimile. I think this is the first appearance of the Batcave, I believe. This is Batman issue number 5. This definitely would be outside of what I could easily afford. Nice book to have, though. And it's cool that DC's coming out with these things. Has the ads on the back cover, ads on the inside. Definitely has that kind of golden age feel to it. This is an homage cover, Batman's issue number 1. This is Batman 140. Over the last, I want to say it started in November, DC started having Santa issues where they would have Santa Claus in some way showing up on the cover. And it's a particular artist that's doing the art for this, but I'm not sure who it is. Anyway, I like this cover. Some of the other books that have had kind of the Santa variant really haven't done anything for me, but the fact that this was an homage to Batman number 1 is pretty cool. I think you can see what I mean. Sorry, I keep looking up at my monitor so you can see it. The last one is a graphic novel. This is by Dark Horse. I honestly picked it up for my wife. I keep trying to find a way to get her into reading comics. And so we have the Great British Bump Off. She loves mysteries and she loves to bake. So I'm hoping this will do it for her. I saw that this was coming out in individual issues, but I've seen that those don't necessarily work well for her. So I'm hoping with a graphic novel with this trade, it'll do it. Okay, so those are my polls. Let me share with you some of the books I read while I was drinking coffee over the weekend. The first one is Penguin. This is Tom King and De La Torre as the creative team. I read the first 4 issues, and what I really enjoyed about this is it's creating the Penguin as an underworld crime boss, as he's been as long as I remember. I know prior to, I think, probably the 90s, maybe it was the late 80s, the Penguin had a different role in the Rogues Gallery, but he became a crime boss. And so what's happened, in a nutshell, I think it was a secondary story in Batman or something else. No, it was in Catwoman. That's where it was. Catwoman. Yeah, I think it was in Catwoman, where the Penguin had kind of gone into hiding and his kids had displaced him as the underworld crime boss in Gotham. And the whole point of this story is he's trying to get back into his role as that criminal overlord. What's really cool about this story, and this is a Tom King maxi series, and I've mentioned this before, I'm a big fan of Tom King, and I think his strength is when he has limitations to his writing. In this case, a limitation to how many issues he can have in his story. So anyway, what I've really enjoyed in this is how Tom King is using dialogue to represent the perspectives of all the characters. And we're talking internal dialogue, except the Penguin. So in each issue, there is a different character that's kind of at the forefront. And it maybe sometimes it shifts between one secondary character and another. And we're getting the internal dialogue of them and their perceptions of the Penguin, but we're not getting the Penguin's perspective on anything except what he sees. So from the reader, we have the same point of view as these characters that the internal dialogue is revealed. Their same perspective on the Penguin. So it's been a really cool read so far. I was able to, I just kind of. It wasn't really a grind, but I got through the 4 issues I've had. Highly recommend this. And what's kind of cool, this has been a criticism I've had of other big Batman stories that Tom King and Tynion and Snyder, and even before any of them have told, where they're telling a story that involves kind of the destruction of Gotham, or Gotham is on the brink of the abyss, and on and on and on. And this isn't that story at all. It's just about a crime boss becoming powerful again. All right. So awesome read. Definitely recommend it. The next series that I want to recommend is Masters of the Universe Forge of Destiny. This is a continuation of the miniseries Dark Horse published a few years back. I want to say it was during the pandemic. This is Masters of the Universe Revelations, which was a continuation of the animated series that Netflix showed, or that was on Netflix, which was a continuation supposedly of the original show back in the 80s. As a child of the 80s, Masters of the Universe, He-Man, I remember when those action figures came out, and I wanted them so bad, but like many kids, I didn't have the money for it. So this is definitely a nostalgia hit for me. The art is on point for the simplistic style of the animated series. It's more of an homage rather than a panel-to-panel adaptation of it. Clearly, there's some adaptation. You can see that, for example, here, this cover with Adam and He-Man. But it does have kind of the same color palette, and Tim Seeley is telling a story that could have been a part of this series. And so I'm enjoying it for those reasons. It's only 3 issues in. I think issue 4 is coming out next week. Maybe. Anyway, so recommend this. If you're a child of the 80s and you were big into the Masters of the Universe, you'll enjoy this. And last is the current run of Captain America by Straczynski. And there are 2 artists for it right now. I don't remember what the 2 artists are because I think they're rotating. Anyway, I'm 3 issues in, and what I'm enjoying about this is there's kind of this back and forth between Captain America in his youth, and there's a different artist for that, and what's going on right now. The threat is a mystical threat rather than some over-the-top technological threat like was in the last volume. And the last volume was Captain America, Symbol of Truth, and Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. I really wasn't a fan of that. I have an issue where you have an Avenger level threat and you don't call in the Avengers. Like it was just Captain America, Black Widow, Night Nurse, and Sam Wilson. And then you had Bucky Barnes on the side. It's like, if you're going to have an Avenger level threat, which it clearly was in the last volume, call in the Avengers, right? Anyway, so what's really cool about this is it's kind of a low-level threat, and it has kind of an esoteric quality where it's not this out-and-out push to take over the world or something like that, but the bad guy in this case is just trying to make a little nudge here and there so that way things play out the way he wanted to. Anyway, so current run on Captain America, only 3 issues in, so it would be easy to get on board and get those individual issues from your LCS or Midtown or some other secondary market. So that's all I have to share. If you do like what you heard and saw, please do click the like, share, and subscribe button. And thank you for watching my video.